We've all played fun games, but have you ever played a game so brutally difficult that it made you want to cry? Some games don't just challenge you, they break you. If you're not improving, you're seeing the same death screen over and over again, questioning your life choices. In this video, we're counting down the 10 most difficult games that will push your patience to the limit and give you a truly frustrating experience. Let's get started. Cuphead transports players into a stunning 1930s cartoon-inspired world filled with surreal, hand-drawn animation and a sweet soundtrack. The story follows Cuphead and Mugman, who gamble away their souls to the devil and must battle a series of powerful bosses to repay their debt. While the game looks whimsical, the challenge it presents is anything but fun and games. Cuphead's difficulty comes from its relentless boss fights, which require pinpoint accuracy, fast reflexes, and near-perfect execution. Bosses flood the screen with projectiles, forcing you to dodge and attack in split-second windows. Unlike traditional platformers, there's no room for error. One wrong move, and you're back to the start of the fight. Even the run-and-gun levels feel like boss fights, throwing relentless enemies and hazards at you. To succeed, you'll need to practice parrying to build your super meter, use the right weapon loadouts for each fight, and master movement techniques like dashing and jumping in sync with attacks. The game is a brutal but fair test of skill. Hollow Knight takes place in Hallownest, a ruined underground kingdom filled with ancient secrets, deadly creatures, and hauntingly beautiful landscapes. You play as the Knight, a small but determined warrior exploring the depths of this fallen world. As you progress, you uncover a tragic tale of infection, sacrifice, and forgotten rulers. Hollow Knight's difficulty comes from its precise platforming, unpredictable enemy patterns, and brutal boss fights. Every area introduces new challenges, whether it's the relentless enemies of the White Palace or the deadly platforming of the Path of Pain. Bosses like Nightmare King and Pure Vessel test every skill you've learned, demanding perfect dodging and sharp reflexes. To improve, you'll have to focus on mobility, use dashes, wall jumps, and dodges to maximize your effectiveness. Nail arts and charms can give you an edge, but true mastery comes from learning each boss's attacks. But the game is beautiful to look at, and exploring the hidden lore is fun on its own. After that, when you finally defeat a boss that seemed impossible, the feeling of triumph is unmatched. Hollow Knight punishes mistakes but rewards persistence, making every victory an unforgettable moment. Dark Souls takes place in the decaying kingdom of Lordran, where you play as the chosen undead, a cursed warrior destined to link the first flame or usher in an age of darkness. The world is filled with ancient ruins, grotesque monsters, and legendary bosses that will crush you without mercy. As you uncover the deep lore, you realize that everything in this world is built on suffering and cycles of despair. Dark Souls is infamous for its brutal difficulty to the point where it caused an entire type of games to emerge called Souls-like games. Every enemy encounter is dangerous, demanding precise timing, patience, and strategy. Boss fights like the Capra Demon can take hours to master. The game's unforgiving nature forces you to learn from your mistakes, whether it's dodging at the right time, managing stamina, or reading enemy patterns. To survive, you need to focus on upgrading weapons, mastering parries, and keeping a balanced build. The challenge may feel overwhelming, but few things compare to the rush of finally defeating a boss that's been wrecking you for hours. Overcoming Dark Souls isn't just a gaming achievement, it's a testament to your persistence. In Bloodborne, you take on the role of a hunter trapped in a terrifying city where a mysterious blood disease has transformed its citizens into horrifying beasts. As you delve deeper, the game reveals cosmic horrors, eldritch entities, and a terrifying truth. The world is far more sinister than it seems. The hunt never ends, and the deeper you go, the more maddening the reality becomes. Bloodborne's difficulty is relentless. Unlike Dark Souls, where you can block attacks, Bloodborne demands aggression and quick reflexes. Dodging is your only defense, and enemies hit hard and fast. The bosses are programmed to destroy you if you hesitate even for a moment. To improve, you'll have to embrace the rally system and attack aggressively to regain lost health. Bloodborne is punishing, but defeating its horrors feels awesome. Every victory is hard-earned, making the journey through the game one of the most satisfying challenges in gaming. Lies of P takes the story of Pinocchio and twists it into a dark, gothic nightmare. Set in a decaying city, you play as a puppet warrior searching for his creator, Geppetto, while battling an army of rogue automatons. The game blends deep storytelling with brutal combat like the Souls games, challenging players to survive in a world where deception is key to survival. Lies of P is notoriously difficult due to its aggressive enemies and precise parry-based combat. Perfectly timed parries and dodges are essential to avoiding massive damage from bosses that could easily murder you. And then you have to adapt to their unpredictable attack patterns. Truly, a game that will make you cry if you let it. The game's unique weapon system, which allows you to mix and match blade and handle parts, adds another layer of depth but also forces strategic thinking. The difficulty is steep, but every victory feels like a massive accomplishment, making Lies of P one of the best modern Souls-like games. Nioh 2 serves as mostly a prequel to the first game, putting you in the role of a half-human, half-yokai warrior in Sengoku-era Japan. Unlike William from Nioh 1, you create your own custom character, unlocking a deeper connection to the world. The story intertwines historical events with Japanese mythology, blending stunning visuals, intense combat, and supernatural abilities into a great experience. Nioh 2 takes the brutal difficulty of its predecessor and cranks it up. Enemy AI is more aggressive, bosses are faster and deadlier, and combat now revolves around managing your abilities. The burst counter mechanic is crucial for interrupting powerful enemy attacks, but it requires near-perfect timing. The game often punishes reckless players with instant deaths. The complex stamina system, multiple weapon stances, and the need to exploit enemy weaknesses make every encounter a mental and mechanical challenge. To get better, experiment with different weapon stances, learn enemy attack patterns, and use burst counters effectively. The game's difficulty is overwhelming at first, but once you master its mechanics, the thrill of taking down a powerful yokai is unmatched. Nioh 2 is not just a test of skill, it's an exhilarating samurai experience that rewards patience and perseverance. At first glance, Dead Cells looks like a stylish pixel art action platformer, but beneath its gorgeous design lies an unforgiving Metroidvania that will test your patience and skills. You play as a reanimated warrior known as the Prisoner, fighting through an ever-changing castle filled with deadly enemies and brutal bosses. Every time you die, you start over from scratch, learning from your mistakes and pushing further. But Dead Cells rewards persistence and growth. The fast, fluid combat is incredibly satisfying, and each run gives you new opportunities to experiment with different weapons, skills, and mutations. Even though you'll die a lot, every run teaches you something new, whether it's a better route, a more effective weapon combo, or how to counter a specific enemy. The game's procedurally generated levels keep it fresh, making each playthrough feel unique. Defeating tough bosses like the Hand of the King after countless attempts is one of the most rewarding feelings in gaming. Dead Cells may be punishing, but the thrill of perfecting your skills and pulling off smooth, fast-paced combat makes every loss worth it. Slay the Spire is a unique blend of roguelike gameplay and deck-building strategy, offering an intense, ever-changing challenge. You pick one of 4 characters, each with distinct abilities, and climb a mysterious spire filled with enemies, relics, and game-changing decisions. Every run is procedurally generated, ensuring that no 2 attempts are the same. The difficulty comes from the strategic depth and randomness. Every card you choose matters, and poor deck management can quickly lead to failure. Tough bosses like the Awakened One and the Heart require carefully crafted decks and near-perfect play to defeat. Status effects, debuffs, and limited energy force you to think several moves ahead. Even the regular enemies can ruin a run if you're unprepared. To improve, you'll have to focus on synergy rather than just picking strong individual cards. Managing your deck size, planning for future fights, and adapting to relics are key strategies for survival. Slay the Spire is brutally unforgiving, but when you finally craft the perfect deck and conquer the heart, the sense of accomplishment is incredible. It's a game that has such diverse strategy that it really makes you want to keep coming back for more. Before the end of this list, we have Sifu. You play as a young fighter seeking revenge for your murdered family, taking on a series of intense battles across beautifully crafted locations inspired by classic kung fu films. But the twist is that every time you die, your character ages. This makes you gain more experience but also lose health. If you grow too old, it's game over. You should play Sifu because it's one of the most satisfying combat systems ever made. Every punch, kick, and parry feels precise, and every encounter is a carefully choreographed fight scene. But button mashing will get you nowhere. Learning to dodge, counter, and use the environment to your advantage is the key to survival. The difficulty is high, but that's what makes victory so sweet. When you finally master a fight that once seemed impossible by dodging attacks flawlessly, parrying at the perfect moment, and taking down enemies with cinematic precision, it feels like you're in an actual martial arts move. Sifu is tough, but conquering its challenges makes you feel like a true warrior.
In Radiance.
And the last entry on this list is Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a psychological horror roguelike RPG where the toughest enemy isn't just the monsters, it's your own team's sanity. You manage a group of flawed heroes, sending them into dark, cursed dungeons filled with grotesque creatures and nightmarish horrors. Every battle drains their physical and mental strength, and if you push them too hard, they'll panic, refuse orders, or even die permanently. Darkest Dungeon is a true test of strategy, adaptability, and perseverance. Unlike most games, it forces you to embrace failure. You will lose characters and struggle, but every mistake teaches you how to manage stress, prepare for the unknown, and make tough choices. The game's haunting narration and gothic art style make every dungeon run feel like a descent into madness. The feeling of surviving an impossible fight or emerging from a dungeon with your team barely holding on is incredibly rewarding. If you love games that challenge both your mind and your emotions, Darkest Dungeon is an experience like no other. And there you have it, 10 of the most difficult games that will make you cry. Have you played any of the games on this list? Maybe you want to share one of your personal favorites. Well, don't leave us hanging and let us know your top picks in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss out on more gaming content. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.